I brought Umar on to like quickly tell us like a little bit about like what the religion has to say about the nikah. I mean, my knowledge is so limited that I think it like we haven't even scratched the surface, but I think it's a very good first conversation. But to kind of get the legal perspective on this as well, I've got Sevim Saadat, who heads the Center for Human Rights, and she is an expert in the Nikahnama when it comes to like the legal point of view. So I'm going to get her on quickly so she can tell us like, again, misconceptions and things that people have around the Nikahnama when it comes to the legal system. Hi, Sevim.
Hi, Momina. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for like taking out the time and coming on and, you know, like sharing like your knowledge with me and with everybody listening in today. I'm going to dive right in because obviously we are doing a very short segment here today, but I want to know very briefly, like, what does the law say when it comes to like, you know, again, haq meher is a huge thing and like people have like so many misconceptions about it. What can be put in, what can't be put in. I do want you to shed some light on things like, can things be changed post, like after you've signed the nikah? Are there stipulations that can be added to it, can be revoked from it? What does the law have to say, and what are the implications of pretty much everything that we put down?
Yeah, so I think it's you know, a really big misconception. The first thing I think that's very important is the Nikahnama itself is a legal document. So in Pakistan, it is something that you need to have in order to have a marriage. This is from the legal perspective, again, very clear about it. I'm a lawyer, so that's all I'll be talking about. Within the Nikahnama, there's several rights that we have, and a number of these on page 2 of the Nikahnama, it's only a 2-page document, are technically 90% about a woman's rights. So these are really, really essential. So aapne haq meher ki baat ki. You know, when you talk about the haq meher, there's a specific column. You have to write down the amount of haq meher. The bride decides the amount of haq meher. Only the bride, not her parents, not the husband-to-be, nobody else. And that's a legal requirement that you have. You decide the haq meher. Your husband has an obligation to pay that haq meher. So not only is the haq meher mandatory to be written, but it has to be paid out as well for that marriage to take place. So in the legal terms, we say, you know, it's consideration for a contract. So without haq meher, that marriage, you know, you can ask for it at any point, even if you don't write it that time. So one thing is the haq meher is just very, very important. The second thing that I think is the real misconception is about the haq meher being just money. So the haq meher doesn't have to be money. It can be in the form of gold, it can be jewelry, it can be a property, it can be a house. And anyone who says otherwise, I just want to direct them that there's a specific column again within the Nikahnama which stipulates that, you know, write down any property given as haq meher. So there can't be a social or cultural conversation about, oh, we can't do this. The legal right is there, so you can do this. And I think, you know, that's something we shy away from perhaps. You know, you go to the shadis and everybody's like, oh, let's go ask the groom for money, whether it's a juta chapai, doodh pilai. And nobody has like any sort of concern about asking money there. It's not greedy, it's not wrong, it's culture, right? But when you talk about haq meher, and you want to ask for anything that you think is right for yourself, it's wrong. You know, it's seen culturally inappropriate. So I think one of the questions you have to ask is, legally you have a right to get that money, and culturally we ask for juta chapai. So why is it such a big deal now? I mean, it really shouldn't be. So if you don't know this, I think that's something that you should really enforce for yourself and people around you, that your haq meher is something that you have guarantees for within the law. And it's in the Nikahnama, so, you know, read the Nikahnama, negotiate what you want in your Nikahnama. And I think that's the best way to start any sort of partnership or relationship as well.
Open conversation, right? And even like it's such an interesting thing that you said that I had also never thought about it in that manner, that yeah, we do go out and ask for juta chapai, and it's always starts like 3 crore chahiye mujhe type, you know what I mean? It always is some outlandish amount. Yeah. But I mean, like, we have gotten, like, I mean, I myself have gotten, like, you know, just me as an individual, like, at a wedding, I've gotten, like, 50,000 each person. So I think, like, some, like my friend's husband dished out, like, upward of, like, ₹1 million amongst, like, just the friends and family, just for that. Do you know what I mean? And I get it, like, and it's so bizarre, because, like, it's like, hum beti nahi bech rahe, to haq meher hum kyun require? Meri naak kat jayegi if I ask for it. And this is usually such a patriarchal, almost system in that manner, ki, you know, kato wahan se bhi, like, you know, to get that independence. I feel like that an independent woman in any way, financially independent, is a threat to society as it stands today in many ways, right?
For sure, and I think that's the thing, when you look at financial rights, like, we say it's a threat, but the Nikahnama, which again is a legal document, has multiple clauses that are about financial rights. So not just the haq meher, there's nan nafka or maintenance, where you can ask for what you think is the appropriate amount of maintenance for the duration of your marriage, and that's again a legal right. So you can take these rights. I think that's the most important part. Women, often men as well, so parents don't know that their daughters have these rights, and I think that's what's most important, right? You spend so much time preparing for a wedding, all of the functions, everything. We don't spend any time talking about these rights that create this marriage as well, and I think there's nothing wrong in that. You wouldn't tell anybody to sign a contract for an employment without understanding their terms. Exactly. It's not about being greedy. It's not about saying, oh, how dare you ask for this right? It's like, it is my right, so why can't I ask for it? I should ask for it.
And it's your thing to agree or to disagree, right? Because at the end of it, you're saying kabool hai or...
Exactly.
So if it's not kabool, then...
It's not the terms you want, you don't have to say kabool hai.
Yeah.
That's the frank reality.
I mean, like, again, like I said, I'm learning so much. Like, I mean, my sister's getting married soon, so I'm very, like, protective these days, right? I'm learning as much as I can to kind of, add that layer to...
And I think, like you said, it's also just, apart from this is a right you want to take, it's also not meant to be a scary thing. Like, these are open conversations that you're meant to have. They're not meant to be something we shy away from. So, for example, in the Nikah, you have other rights that are protected apart from financial rights as well. For example, there is a delegated right to divorce that a woman can seek through the Nikah. Now, many people have the misconception that delegate right to divorce and khula ek hi cheez hai. They're two absolutely separate legal rights. And one has the benefit of being a little bit more economically, it's less expensive, one, and the other is it's less timely. So we did a study last year, the Center for Human Rights, in which we found out this, that women who opted for delegate right to divorce would have to essentially just pay a fees to the Union Council to submit an application, and then within 3 months they're able to get their divorce. Whereas if you file for a khula, you have to get a lawyer, which is obviously going to cost you some money. You have to go to court, which is again going to cost you money to travel there, and it takes a little bit more time, obviously, because it's a back and forth. So there are benefits to securing the rights that are given to you by the law, and I think that's something, what we're really focusing on, that, women shouldn't have a problem coming up, and not just women, men as well. If you're getting married, I don't think you should have a problem giving rights that are present to your partner. That's as simple as it is.
And like, I think I'm going to wrap that up on that, because that's such a beautiful thing to say, that like, if you are in a equal partnership and you're looking at a marriage as a real partnership, then that open line of communication should 100% be there, and as partners you should be able to negotiate amongst each other. Because I mean, if you're not able to negotiate at the very beginning of your relationship, like, what are you going to do? And like, the big stuff hits.
Yeah, and I think just a moment on that last point. So you said, what are you going to do if you didn't negotiate at the beginning of the relationship? In case there are people in your viewers who haven't, didn't know about these rights and didn't negotiate them, but they want to mutually change them today, and they've already signed a Nikah, say 2 years ago. It's not an issue. They can amend their Nikah. So they can amend it in 2 ways. One, by going to a lawyer and going through court, and they can reach out to our organization for that as well. And 2, they can submit an application to the Union Council to amend their Nikah mutually. So you can change things as well. Again, it's evolving like all of us.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That was very insightful, and I'm actually going to probably bring you back on, because I think I need to learn a lot more about this myself. But I'm very appreciative of you taking out the time and coming on and like sharing like your valuable, like invaluable actually knowledge on this subject matter.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was like a very quick, short, sweet segment that we did. If you have any questions, like, please put them down below, and I'm going to ask like Umar and Sevim to kind of come in and weigh in on all of these questions. I think that an open dialogue is really, really important when it comes to like, it's a very big deal. Like, I think like marriage is not it's not meant to be taken lightly. The contract that you're signing is not meant to be taken lightly either. So to understand that, it's very, very important. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Take care.